my 8-year-old's still in school. Oh boy.
Oh.
And my 7-month-old looks like she's about to take a nap.
Oh man, do you? We can do this another time, man. It's all good. You know.
No. I'm fine. There might be a little baby babble. Outside that, it's not a problem.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Gabe,
Hold on. Yeah, of course. Should I say that? Here, take that. All right, I got it covered.
Thank you. It's funny.
All one mouth, done and done.
Done and done. It's funny. It's been so long, man. So you have an 8-year-old and a 7-month-old.
Yeah.
Goodness. I don't know. I'm impressed because when I have, my kids are out, they're grown and done and out. And so when I hear people with newborns, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I couldn't do it. That just scares me to death, man.
Yeah, it's my fault for marrying a woman 13 years younger than me.
I'm not seeing a bad side of that.
What's that?
I said I don't see a bad side to that. That's all good.
I don't know, but I mean, like she's 30 and like I want to have kids, and I'm just like I'm almost 43. I don't know if I want to have kids, but obviously I was I'm absolutely happy to have a new little person.
Yeah,
but it definitely has its
it's challenging.
Trials.
It's challenging.
Yeah, there's challenges.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely, and with running a new school and getting all that stuff going, I mean it's a lot, man. It's a lot. And so
I mean, so prior to everything getting crazy in California, my wife works for the state, and so the 7-month-old would go to daycare by her work in Santa Clarita, and then I'd be working at the gym all morning into the night, and then I would. Thursday was kind of like my day with her because it's kind of like my day off, anyways. Mm-hmm. So Thursday was the only day that I did daycare. Okay. And now it's the daycare is closed, and excluding Monday, my wife works from home. Okay. But and my 8-year-old lives with their mother in Vegas most of the time. Okay. But because I haven't seen her in 2 months, her mother allowed her to be here for a little over a month, which has been great. Oh wow! So so it's I mean everything's different, Yeah. Not a bad thing, but it's just different.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah. That's so you with the new gym. I know that is on hold as well right now for you. As it is for most everybody, and so you just opened the gym a couple, 3 years ago? 2, 3?
It was been about 2.5 years.
Okay, yeah, I remember seeing all of it, and when I started to do think about doing podcasting and stuff, and just getting into this again, I was like, oh man, there's so many people I want to talk to, but you were definitely on, one of my top 10 because of just your history and the, to be honest, I mean, you're like one of the pioneers of well, back in the day it was no holds barred, and now it's MMA, and it's kind of,
yeah. I mean, I don't look at it that way. I mean, I definitely fought through multiple change-ups in MMA. Yeah. And it's amazing to see when I first started fighting, it was illegal, to now it being like one of the biggest sports, financially available. And I mean, everybody knows it. They at least know, like a Conor McGregor or someone like in a time frame when, when I started, if maybe someone knew who Royce Gracie was, that was about the extent of it. You know what I mean? Right. And I mean, it's been just the transition has been pretty crazy. So I mean, I'm fortunate that I got to see the transition, and I got to see it go from, again, like I fought illegally.
Right.
I remember, I think my third fight was at a nightclub in Hollywood, and the promoter's like, if we get ready to tell the cops that this is pro wrestling and that, we already know what's going to be the outcome. And I was like, wait, we can get arrested?
Yeah. What?
yeah.
Isn't that crazy that it's gone from that to what it is today? And just the, because I mean, you were really, like I said, you were in the mix of it all. I started jiu-jitsu back in the day too. I started with the Pedro and Rancho, and gosh, I'm like 94, 95, whatever. I don't even know. It's been so long. And then I watched the kind of the changes, and when I started writing and doing things like that, it was kind of from the outside perspective of watching these people, the changes and everything, and watching. That's kind of when I saw you too. You were starting to make your way through things. I mean, you had some killer fights, and you had you got into the WEC, you became the champion there. You had like a 9-fight win streak or something like that. I mean, it was.
I think I think at one point, I did. I was on like a 9-5 win streak, and that was when I was being looked at by Pride and in the UFC. I mean, I definitely, in my mind at least, I never reached the potential that I felt that I had. But I mean, that was unfortunately just the luck of the draw. I mean, I think if there was one point in my career that kind of changed the dynamic of where I was going, was the Ultimate Fighter. Mm-hmm. For better or worse. Okay. But I feel like that was really a transformation. And in a lot of ways, my manager, Ed Sayers, don't you?
Yes. Yeah,
Ed, I was like, let's go Pride, because I mean, for me, too, that was Japan was the place where MMA was massive, and in the States, no one was anything. I mean,
right.
I remember watching, I think it was it Frank Shamrock versus Peter Ortiz at a sports bar in San Francisco. And I mean, at the time that was a huge fight, but they fought for like 1,500 people in like Alabama or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like the time frame. Like, as far as in the States, no one knew what MMA was, but Japan was massive.
Right.
And so when I got an opportunity, actually, they offered me to fight Gomi when Gomi was on a massive win streak, and I said, let's do it. And Ed's like, oh no, let's keep moving your career forward. And the UFC was starting to make some real headway, and was like, I think UFC would be a better bet. And I was like, no, I'll fight Gomi. I mean, he's the best guy in the world. Why wouldn't I want to fight the best guy in the world? If I lose, big deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
F it. Isn't this what I'm in this for? Like, let's do this. And I regret never having that opportunity. But you know what? It's neither here nor there, right?
Right. Well, no, it's the path that we take. I mean, it's something that the decisions we make and the chances that we take. And you are one of those guys that stepped out and took chances at every opportunity. You didn't back down from anything. You always were moving forward and wanting to improve things. And you made a difference to a lot of people when you started making those changes after even the Ultimate Fighter. You went in and you fought. You were the champ for WEC and was it Tachi TPS?
Yeah, TPS.
Yeah, TPS.
I mean,
dude, that's amazing.
Well, I definitely, I feel like I had an amazing career, and I did a lot of fun stuff. But I don't who's out there doesn't think that's that impressive. So,
no, you know what?
My 7-month-old doesn't think I'm that impressed. But no. I think every fighter, even like even a guy like an Anderson Silva, I'm sure that he has regrets about things in his career. I mean,
sure.
Dude, he's one of the best guys ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine like a guy like DJ Penn who was a training partner of mine and someone that I looked up to is like unbeatable. I mean, look what has happened. I mean, think he went like one of like a 8-fight losing streak or something.
Yeah.
It's I mean, look, it's the journey is the journey, and I'm very, very thankful that I got the opportunity to do that, what I did. But
yeah,
I'm content and happy with my life now.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's where you make a difference. One of the conversations that I hear a lot come up with people is they talk about, fighters retiring and then coming back, and fighters retiring and coming back and doing all that. And you started a new journey. You started a new path, and you started a new direction in your life with opening the gym and becoming a coach, which in my opinion is probably one of the harder jobs in this field.
It really is, especially with fighters.
Oh.
I don't have a lot of fighters just for that reason alone, because I was a young dumb fighter. You know what I mean? And you're self-serving, and as you should be, because you're going into mutual combat for money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
right.
But I also think that the kids, and again, now I'm an old man, I feel like the kids nowadays don't understand, But I think because that there's fame and there's money, when I fought, that was not what you fought for.
No, it wasn't.
I made $500 to fight for the WC title. I mean, that 250 and 250 was my purse.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but I did it because I loved it. I did it because I was passionate about it. I got an opportunity to, find out things about myself that I didn't know existed.
What?
And that was the reason to fight, more than I'm going to get chicks, and I'm going to get, be able to go to parties with celebrities, and I mean, it's a trip how people think now versus,
That's one of the things I was going to talk to you about, is because you did start, like I said, when it was illegal, and it's become one of the biggest things. What do you think is one of the major changes for the old school and the new school, like this the new generation of MMA? But that was very well put, because I kind of agree with you. People are doing it for I might get in trouble for this, and I'm gonna, it's all good. I believe people are doing it for the wrong reasons. Now, I think there are certain people, not everybody obviously, but I believe that if you truly love the sport, you love to fight, and you love to do that, that's the prime reason you should be in it. If you're in it just to say, oh, I went in and I got my name on a poster and I went in and fought, and now I'm going to go hang out with chicks, I just, that doesn't sit well with me. And that might be my old school mentality. I don't know. But
well, no, I'm in 100% agreement. And unfortunately, I have the newer kids that like, here's a perfect example. And I'm not even going to give his name because he's still one of my active fighters, and I actually like the kid. He's arrogant, needed to kind of. He's 23 and very, very gifted kid, but he went on a chair as an amateur, and this is before. So he was just coming to train with me. I wasn't coaching him. I only coached him after he went on an 0-2 pro run after I think he was an undefeated amateur. And so he called me up the week before his pro debut. And he's like, hey, are you going to come to my meet and greet this weekend? I go, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I'm going to do a meet and greet. Are you going to come? And I go, what are you having a meet and greet for? He's like, oh, because I'm fighting next week. And I go, yeah, you should be focused on your fight. You shouldn't be focused on trying to be someone that you're not. You're an amateur fighter. You have no reason to have a meet and greet. Like, what kind of, just arrogant stupidity are you on, kid? And he hangs up the phone on me, and he's like, oh, you don't get it. I'm going to be a star. And then he gets knocked out in his first fight.
Oh.
And then he calls me a couple weeks later, oh, you know what, you were right. I should have been focused. And I go, yeah, you probably should have been.
Yeah.
And so, he was coming to train with me again. And then he takes another fight against a really tough guy. And the guy beats him by decision. And then he finally goes, hey, will you work with me? And I go, well, first you need to strip your ego. You got to figure out what you're fighting for. And look, you have talent. I'm not going to deny that you have physical talent. You're an athlete.
Right.
But athleticism means absolutely nothing if your head is not right there.
It's true.
And, this new young arrogance where, I want to be a celebrity. I want to be famous. Instead of going out there and being about the fight. It's about the fight, man, and nothing else really matters. And like that's one thing that I feel like there's a big difference of. And this is, from my own experience.
Right.
I'm that old war horse that's sitting there going like, what are you doing this for, man? Like, like there has to be something bigger than I'm good at it and I can become famous and make money from it.
Right.
But no, like, if you're an athlete, go do something else athletic. They're much easier and better. You know what? The best thing you do, become an MLB like 50th round pick. You make $600,000 to $700,000 a year, and you won't do a thing.
Right. There you go. And
you still will be making way more than if you were a champion in the UFC.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, really, like you banking on fighting is just ridiculous. And then I'm unfortunately a realist with all of my guys, and but I feel like you need to be. I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to sit there and tell you how great you are. That's not my job. My job is to get you as prepared as you can be, and to find the reason why you're going out there to do it.
Dude, that's so well put, and I think a lot of people miss that point. They still, to this day, you watch some fighters go in there, and they're doing it. I believe they're doing it for the wrong reasons, and it could be their coaching. Like you said, being a realist with your coach. Your coach needs to be able to come up and tell you, look, this is where your head needs to be. You can't be focused on other things. You're about to get your head smashed in. Come on, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like that guy across the cage.
If you're more concerned about what your T-shirt's going to look like and what people are thinking about you, more so than the man who is preparing to decimate you,
right?
Then you are in the wrong profession. You are. You're in the wrong profession.
100%. Agreed.
And also I think that and some people will be upset about this, but I don't care. MMA, for better or worse, has become more like WWE. People are understanding that like being able to talk smack and have a quote unquote character is far more important than actually being the best athlete and best fighter you can be.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like a perfect example is a Colby Covington. That D-bag, he even readily admits, I'm putting on a persona. Right. I am the bad guy, just like Chael Sonnen was the bad guy.
Right.
Just like Conor McGregor is the bad guy. And you know what? For better or worse, they're all successful because of it, but it's a detriment to the sport as a whole.
Okay. Why do you think that? Why do you think it's a detriment as a whole?
Well, because it becomes more of a show than about the fight.
Okay. Yep.
The reason why I don't like pro wrestling, I liked pro wrestling when I was a little kid when I thought it was real. As soon as I found out that it wasn't real, it had no interest to me whatsoever.
There you go. Well put.
And that was what was so appealing about MMA. Is like, oh my gosh, this is real. I mean, in the time frame, like I was like, the Valley Tudo days, like where guys would headbutt each other in 30-minute matches, and like, that was like terrifyingly real.
Yeah. Yes.
And that had far more appeal to me of like a test of who you are, what your real inner fortitude is, more than what type of showman I can be and what type of smack I can say to somebody. And then when the guy, like watch when Conor was fighting Habib, and Habib is beating his ass, and he's like, "Oh, it's just business, it's just business,
right?"
And Habib's like, "This isn't business to me, motherfucker.
Right.
I'm here to destroy you. This is real to me. And you know what? And like, I respected Habib a lot because of that. People like got upset about it, but I'm like, no, that is a real fighter. That is a guy he's not there for bravado. He's not there. You can talk about the business all you want. His business is in that ring.
Yep.
His business is a hurt game.
Yep, absolutely, and that's one thing that I agree with you. I saw that and I was like, I don't know why you would say this is just business. Your business should have been done prior to this, like getting prepared. And I was surprised at the the domination on that fight. I really was. I knew, I had a feeling Khabib would win that one, but man, that was craziness. It was kind of an eye opener.
Well, but I thought it was hilarious that he's like, it's just business. It's just business.
Yeah.
Basically, what he's saying is, look, I'm just playing a show. I'm here to play. I'm not here to really, like, you know, I don't really have these feelings towards you. And Habib's, no, you're here to fight.
Yeah.
You better bring all that bravado, all that talk. You better bring that to the actual match.
Yep. And
you know?
I agree.
It's a different, you know, I have 18 on record pro wins, and I have 8 pro losses. And I only have 2 decisions, a win and a loss out of all those fights.
That's because
so you cannot tell me, even if you were to watch those two decisions, that I'm not trying to finish the fight the whole time.
That's interesting that you bring that up. I was listening to one of your I had the Braga when you fought Van der Braga.
Yeah.
I was listening to the commentary on that a while back, and I just grabbed it again the other day because I was like, oh yeah, I want to go back and, you know, reminisce, look at stuff and, you know, things like that. And I saw that match and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that match. In the first round, the guy was talking about the commentator was talking about your like your caginess. Like you felt it out a little bit, but you were never, like, if you felt like it started to slow the pace down, or your opponent would slow the pace down, you would not allow that to happen. You may let it go for a little bit, but you were always the one that was like, all right, come hell or high water, I'm going to get KO'd, or you are, or there's going to be a submission. We're going to do this. And you were always going in it, you know, I mean, you did it tactically. You didn't do it, you know, just headlong. And in the second round, you came out, and I think it was not too short after that you caught him with a right, and you ended up guillotining him. And
yeah, I remember just, I mean, at that point, Varner was 15-0.
Yeah.
I had watched a few of his fights, and I actually trained with him. I knew what he was really, really good at, and I knew I needed to be a little more tactical than just, you know, like, obviously, like, we're both grapplers, but at that point, I was a brown belt. He was, I think, a 3-time black belt world champion.
Right.
So you know, like, my idea, like, I'm not gonna particularly get to the ground unless it's advantageous. And so there's a little more feeling on that fight than most of my fights, just because, you know, of my respect towards him.
Right.
But it also came down to, like, no, let's do this. You know, I'll be tactical for a minute, but at some point, let's get this going.
Yeah, it's got to happen. It's got to have an ending. That's another thing that's really kind of tough. You know, going against, because it was such a small world at the time, like dealing with, you know, you're training with all these different people, and you may have had to have fought a couple of people that you had respect for, and that maybe even you trained with and considered even friends. You know, and that kind of era was tough. It was not I don't know, man. I always look at the guys that, you know, were pioneers and started this stuff as the foundation of it all. And they
Right.
you know, you guys really did bring a lot of changes to mixed martial arts. And I think it's overlooked a lot. I really do. I think that my wife would always tell me, you know, because I was always the one that's like, oh, I hope this stuff gets so big. Oh my God, I love this. I just want it to be so big. She's like, you're going to regret that one day. You are going to regret it. And she's right. You know, I love the fact that jiu-jitsu is still kind of a small community, and it has a relatively small world, where, you know, mixed martial arts is huge. And so I kind of like to stay hidden a little bit. So.
No, I actually agree 100%, because that was how I looked at it too. Like, I liked, you know, we always wanted to be bigger, and
right.
Even when it got sanctioned in California, we're like, oh, holy shit! Like,
right.
We can fight in California.
What the
hell?
What
I mean? And yeah, like just to think, like, you know, and then like the Ultimate Fighter started to happen, and then
yeah.
Well, the funniest part is, I was just talking to my friend about the other days. I remember when Stephan Bonner got second and he started banging this porn star.
Oh yeah.
Can't remember her name. Like blonde. I've actually hung out with her multiple times. Super cool chick, but like she kind of became a MMA groupie of sorts. And like for Stephen Bonner, like he's just kind of a nerdy dude, and like basically when she started hitting on him, like he was like, oh my god, like this is a girl that I've watched in porn.
Right.
Like that's such a nerdy thing to do, but that shows you like there's this massive transition in MMA. You know what I mean?
Right.
At that moment, like he was mainstream famous, and so he was getting things that would never have happened back in the day. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there were guys that that were paying porn stars, just because the counterculture, like strippers and whatnot. But as far as like Stephen Bonner was not one of those guys. You know what I mean? Like
right.
And that transformation, like you're like, oh, that's great, but at the same time, you're like, is it really? I mean, I don't know. I kind of liked it being this grassroots thing that the fighters knew of each other, and there was a small fan base, but it didn't go past that. And there's something I appreciate about that, but it also, I mean, I guess with everything, like growth is better. You know what I mean? And
sure.
Well, I don't know.
It affords with the growth, it affords different prosperities. The gyms, the fighters themselves get to move on and do their thing. Maybe grow and become coaches or things like that. But not always. They always say it, and I hear this all the time. Some fighters just don't make a great coach, but I don't believe so. In your case, I see that you have the same thoughts and drive as like you try to impart that on your fighters. But you give it your own flavor, and I see that you are really trying to. Everything's on pause now, obviously, but you're really trying to make a difference in this, and I think that being straightforward with your fighters in the beginning and just right up front and say, hey, look, this is what you need to do. You can't be doing, get your focus and go. And I think that's important. I didn't compete. I competed as, in jiu-jitsu, but I never got into any kind of main fights or anything like that. But I
don't. It's not a career that I would suggest for most people. It's not. There's such little benefit for as much loss as you get from it.
Yeah.
I mean, my neck is infused, my back has been fused. I still can't breathe out of my nose. My MCL has been torn for 5 years. It's
dang.
The wear and tear on your body is insane. I definitely talk to my guys like, don't. There are other things like really like it's and then also
it's a rough life.
If you're not an elite guy and then you become a journeyman, and then you're just fighting to make a couple of grand here and there.
Right.
Like that in my opinion, that's even worse. You know what I mean? When you get to that journeyman, I have a couple friends that are really good fighters, but they went on like a 3 or 4 fight loss, and because of that, that they win or they lose, and they fight a little bit here, they fight a little bit there, they make some money, but they're just a journeyman. I mean, not that they're bad fighters, but it's just a rough life,
It is. It's got to be. It's hard on your body. It's hard on your mind. It's hard on. I couldn't see doing that. And not having a backup plan is something that I don't. I see a lot of people doing that now, especially with this because I know you have some backup.
Well, I actually didn't have a backup.
Really?
I'm in the respect of like I feel like I'm a resilient guy and I have the ability to. So for like when I initially stopped fighting, I took a corporate job. My buddy had a consolidation company in Ranch Cucamonga. And I just jumped into that. I had this opportunity to make good money, and it's something I don't know anything about consolidation, But if you put me in a position where I have to learn and especially if it's a livelihood, I'm going to make it happen.
Right.
And of the qualities I have, survival instincts are very, very high.
I think that's very important to have, actually, as a fighter. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, go ahead.
No, it's fine. It is important, but it also I've been around MMA for so long that unfortunately most fighters are kind of stupid. That's a generalization, and that doesn't mean all of them.
Right.
But even the ones that can, for example, and I don't care if you put this or not, like Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz thinks of himself like he's a smart guy. He is a dumbass.
Okay.
Like it's like seriously, I'm just a good businessman. Like, no, I think at one point punishment of athletic because of him was doing well, but it's a bankrupt company. He hasn't had a gym that has happened, that's done anything. Now he's been able to keep fighting because of his UFC being, the light heavyweight champion of the UFC. But like fighting in combates now, like it's just a good businessman would have been able to pull out of MMA or move forward in a different realm and make money doing it. And he's just not. You know what I mean? Like,
yep. Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, I just use him as an example because he's an epitome of fame and recognition in the sport that
right.
I never reached at all. But one thing he likes to liken himself as a good businessman. But he tried a management company. He failed at that. His brand failed. His gym failed. So now he's that aging 43-year-old fighter still fighting to make a paycheck.
And that's what it goes back to, I think, with not having the right tools or the right backing. Like you have to have, I believe, especially with this sport, because it's so fair weathered. You really do have to have a plan B. You cannot go into this sport and not have a plan B.
Exactly.
Grappling, maybe, I always wondered about that. Like why not get into, doing some like submission undergrounds or, doing something that's a little less hard on your body. Why fight? And I was actually going to ask you about that. Well, have you ever considered any of those, like fighting, going for submission underground and,
I did I got prepared for a sambo match 2 years ago now.
Okay.
Combat sambo, so it's striking, but it's in a gi, and it's primarily grappling. I spent 2 months in a camp type environment, getting prepared, and I was so beat up after the match. The match only was 2 minutes. I never was any danger to the whole match. It was over, 2 minutes, 20 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
I finished the match, but my left shoulder and arm didn't work for 6 months after.
Holy shit.
And I had just opened up my gym a week after the bout. And I taught for 6 months unable to tie my belt 100%.
What?
And I can't, more than likely what I'm guessing is that my neck, because it's been fused, got inflamed. And the inflammation puts strain onto my upper body.
Okay.
And I can't train the way I want to train. I've thought about like maybe doing a tournament here or there, but if I do a tournament, it's gonna be one of those things that like I just jump in that day and just do it. I can't, like, the preparation actually is what kills me now.
It's a lot.
I mean, I think I'll be a competitor for a lifetime.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't, like, I still, like, whenever I go to the fights or I go to corner, my first feeling is like, I need to do this again. You know what I mean? But then also the reality of, if I get injured trying to get ready for this, then that takes away from my business.
Right. That does cause a problem.
So, I all all of that type of stuff, I think it's great, and I dude, there's like a guy like Gordon Ryan making so much money just doing grappling.
Right.
I mean, I remember if you got a T-shirt for a grappling match, like, that was a big deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I remember. I don't want to bring his name up, but I had a former training partner of mine that was he was sponsored by Tap Out, and whenever he would do a tournament, Tap Out would give him a hoodie or something, and we all thought it was like, dude, he got like he's getting Tap Out hoodies like for free. All of us were like, and he was on Cloud9 too. Like, yeah, you get Tap Out gear. Like that was a big deal for grappling. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think there's maybe a couple super fights where you would win a gi if you won the match. Like, from that to, I think my buddy Vinny just did a match for $25,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like, it's awesome that is an opportunity now, and I maybe that would have been the route I went if that was more viable. But then again, like, I didn't start fighting as a career.
Right.
Like, I didn't.
Right.
I did fighting. My first fight ever was I went to Japan for 2 months. I trained with a bunch of the top guys there, and I did good enough to be like, you know what, I could fight one time. And my idea was to fight one time to see if I could actually do it because I was terrified of it, and that was what was going to be one and done, really. But I lost my first fight. I had gotten I got massively sick the week of the fight.
Okay.
I had bronchitis. I fought with bronchitis, and I got knocked out. And I was like, I gotta do it again. I gotta do it when I'm healthy and see how it goes. And then I won that fight, and then I went on that massive winning streak, including winning the WC title and defending it twice. And then it just, to be honest, actually, when I won the WC title, I had this guy I was doing private lessons with. This guy named Craig Lyman, and Craig owns, what is Craig? He owns an investment firm, very, very wealthy, successful investment firm.
Okay.
And I was doing privates with Craig, and I told him, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to retire, and I'm going to go back to school, and then I eventually want to go to law school because that was what I was planning to do prior to all of this nonsense that I got involved in.
Wow.
And Craig was in his late 30s at this point, and he goes, if there's one thing that I regret of all the things that I have in my life, and at this point he was very successful. He had multiple houses and all the money that anyone could want. And me being a young guy looking at him like, wow, I wish I had all this stuff.
Right.
And he goes, I wish I would have started jiu-jitsu earlier, and I wish I could have pushed myself physically more than I did. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, you're always going to have the opportunity mentally to do stuff. You can go to medical, or you can go to law school at any point in your life. You're not going to be able to physically do what you're doing now forever.
That's true. Agreed.
And I went, you know what? He was well. I thought he was right, and I kept going on my path. And I thank him for it. I think that in that moment where I felt like well, and again, like there was no money. I had already, I had done way more than I ever thought I would. At that point, I think I was like 11-1, and for me to be like walk away at 11-1 and WC champion, I felt like I had attained far. But again, coming from a guy who was planning just fighting once to being the WC champion, at the time. When I won the WC champion, the UFC didn't even have a lightweight champion. Right. They had taken out the lightweight division.
They were already moving that out, right? I remember that.
So, realistically, the WC at that point, that is unfortunately King of the Cage, was like the two U.S. titles that meant anything.
Right.
And so to win that was like, for me, I I was a jiu-jitsu guy that fought just because he wanted to try it out. You know what I mean? I wasn't one of those guys like, I'm going to be a world champion and I'm going to fight in UFC and I'm going to do all this stuff. All that was, I was like, what? No, I wanted to fight one time.
It was a secondary. You said something about that kind of caught my attention. You said you were going to fight just the one time, and you were going to go out to Japan, and that you were terrified about it. You were terrified to fight. What was the? Because a lot of people won't even go past that. Like they don't let their fear or their or they allow their fear to keep them from moving forward and doing the things that they do. You went in terrified, lost, still came back and continued. What got you through that? What was the how did you get past? Like I don't know that a lot of fighters would have been like, oh yeah, I'm going back for a second round. I think some people. So that to me that says a lot, because when I saw your the win-loss, I saw that and I'm like, wow, I wonder, what went through your mind when you thought, okay, I just lost this, and you said you were sick, bronchitis, all these things. So a lot of things probably contributed to it, but you went back and fought again.
Yeah.
So do you remember? I mean, it's...
I guess what, I don't know. I feel that, and even in my jiu-jitsu career, because I was never, I won and lost when I was doing jiu-jitsu, but I wasn't like a phenom. But the way I got good at jiu-jitsu is I got tapped and I would jump back in.
Right.
I'd get beaten, I'd jump back in. And it felt more about, the strength through perseverance. And like one thing that I've learned through MMA, which I still pass on to my students, and I feel is important, like that MMA parallels life, is as long as you keep getting up and going forward, you're eventually going to succeed. You're eventually going to find, what it may not be the exact thing you want,
right?
But at the very, very minimum, any failures that occur, you will understand that it wasn't because of you. Right. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Look, there are variables that we have no control over, right? I don't have control over, if someone gives me a job or not. I don't have control over how the police are going to react towards me doing something.
Right.
These are things I don't have control over, but I absolutely have control of what I do. And so if I do the best that I can, I'm not always going to get the outcome that I want, but at least I'm living to the best of my ability. Right.
Agreed.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. 100%. I agree with that. It resonates well with me because I after I got my black belt, I was like, oh, okay, this is great. And I trained, and I never really felt a drive to compete or to, push myself that way. I didn't do great in the competition scene, even as a, purple, and I never competed as a brown. And I thought I started training with Sean Roberts out in Chino Hills.
Yeah.
And, he got under me. He got under my skin about it. Like just that drive, that passion for competing and things. And I'm like, man, this kid's going to light a fire into my ass, and I'm not going to enjoy this because I'm going to end up competing at some point. And I did. I competed as a black belt for the first time, and I was like, I loved it, man. I had so much fun, but it hurt. It hurts, as my body was like, okay, the 8 weeks before that I was training 4 or 5 days a week, and I was eating differently, and I competed at 145. So
wow.
I was tiny. I was small. I was a small guy. So I walk around at 160 normally. So I dropped to 145 for this one, and I got in there, and he really did help change my thought process on it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. After all this is all said and done, I was getting ready for another one. I was going to try to compete at the next Copa, and this whole COVID thing just dropped, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is terrible. So, but you're right. It does, like your mentality, it just changes, I guess, with the team that you're with and the people that are behind you and things like that. So having the right people to push you in that direction is also very, very important, I believe. And it sounds to me like you had that all lined up, like you had people ready to go, and your second fight, you went in there and then you went on a streak. So and that's awesome. That's
yeah, like even that, like I didn't think of it like, oh, this is going to be my career now.
right.
Which is, like it was like I lost, and I'm like, okay, there were things that like what I was saying, there's certain things I don't have control over. I can't control. Well, I can't control me being sick or not being sick.
True.
In some avenues.
Sure.
But I made the decision to go fight, and I said, you know what, let's do it one more time, where I'm not as ill prepared, and let's see how it goes. And then I won that fight, I think, in like 38 seconds or something.
Yeah, it was super quick.
Really fast. And then I think it was like, oh wow, that intensity and that energy was just. I mean, I won jiu-jitsu tournaments and I won some kickboxing matches, but there was nothing as intense as getting a finish in the cage and just. I mean that's pure raw energy.
Yeah, that's something that I think that definitely has an appeal. I'm 50. There's no way I'd step in a cage ever, and at this age, it's like I'll be down for months after that. But just that intensity. I think that's something that takes a special breed to get in there and do that, and it's something that I hold these people at high regards. I really do. I think that I know the time that it takes to put into it. I know the sacrifices they make, and I know the pushes that they have to do. And so you guys that, especially the guys that started off early in this, you guys got all my respect in the world. And no, I'm not going to take out the Tito Ortiz part. I think that was important. I think that's a good statement. So, but no, so let's getting into your lineage. You were doing some martial arts before you started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu then, yes?
No, I mean, so I did Kung Fu Sansu.
Okay.
In high school, and I don't even really want to bring that up. Because
okay.
if any, I mean, I don't have a problem bringing it up, but like, the only thing that really benefited me when I was in high school is I never got in fights, because Kung Fu had my instructor had me believing that Kung Fu was so deadly. All it took was one punch to kill somebody.
Right.
So
okay.
So like I would never get in a fight. Like I really thought that it was this deadly weapon.
Gotcha.
And I bring this one up a lot, which is actually it's hilarious. Because in retrospect, this guy would have killed me.
Oh jeez.
But I got into it with the captain of the wrestling team in my high school.
Oh shit.
And I don't even know what we were gonna fight about. I don't remember that part of it. I just remember being like, if I hit him, I will kill him, and I can't kill somebody. so I'm like, I'm not gonna fight you, man. I'm not gonna fight you. And I walked away from what would have probably been the worst ass kicking I would have ever. I have no doubt he would have picked me up over his head. And I remember it was in a Wells Fargo parking lot. He would have planted me onto the concrete, and it would have just been a miserable rain down of punches. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for Kung Fu for that.
Right.
But outside that, like I just it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't reality based.
So is that what you found with jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts then, or is that?
So my first, when I was 98 or 99, hold on, oh boy.
Sweet.
Oh my goodness! Hi. I know the nap's over. Okay, we're good. We're good. Hi. You're okay. Look at that. Yeah, we're good. So I started training at the Hal Gracie Academy.
Okay.
That was my first chance of. I know. Up to that point, I was just a massive fan. And I watched all the UFCs. I'd actually watched some of the extreme fighting.
Oh yeah.
And so I knew who Hal was from that.
Sure.
And I was like, oh my god, it was Hal Gracie, he's a Gracie, and I'd be massively enamored, and I started training with Hal, and I was there for 4.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I had my first 2 fights when I was with Hal Gracie, and then there was an opportunity to become a living fighter / trainer at Millennia.
Okay.
In Pomona.
Right.
And I drove down, and I had a job bouncing and didn't have anything going on. My girlfriend and I had broken up, and I'm like, I don't know, why don't I just move to LA and see what happens? I didn't know. I was like, I just really love training, and I was like, this gives me an opportunity to train and, be part of just, at that point, jiu-jitsu was the thing I wanted to do the most. Right. And, being able to be a fighter, quote unquote, trainer, gave me the opportunity to just train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And so I moved down and joined Millennia, and I was there for, up until my first fight with the UFC. Okay. And then I started, and at this point, Millennia had kind of
splintered,
been gutted, and all the fighters had left, and
right.
It was, just, I remember even trying to get ready for my fight in the UFC, and I would just come to practices, and it would just be me teaching classes to people.
Oh.
And so I just needed to leave, and I started working with Heath Sims at Team Quest for my wrestling for that fight, and I just felt like, okay, there's way more guys at Team Quest.
Right.
And I already knew Dan Henderson and Art Santori pretty well, because they would come to Millennia in the earlier days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started training at Team Quest, and I was at Team Quest for, I don't even remember how long. And it was at Team Quest, and from there I moved to the Valley and started training at PKG with Mac Danzig and Jeremy Humphreys and Tom Hardy. What's his name? I can't think of his name. He fought GSP for the title. He's a commentator for the UFC now. Dan Hardy.
Who?
Dan Hardy. Was the Outlaw.
Yes. Yeah. He was out. He was out there too, huh?
Yeah. For a while there, we had a really good group. And so that was essentially where I finished off my career. So, yeah.
So, your belt ranks. Where did you rank at? Where'd you get your white, blue, purple, brown, and blacks? Where?
Yeah. So I got my blue belt from Health.
Okay.
And then I moved down, and Javi Vasquez and Rumi Aram were both black belts under Rodrigo Medeiros. Right. And so I started working with, I didn't work with Rodrigo very much, but I worked with Javi and Rumi a lot. And I would go down to San Diego periodically. And so I got my purple belt from Rodrigo.
Okay.
I got my brown belt from Rodrigo and Javi.
Okay.
And then I got my black belt from Rodrigo and Romy.
Wow.
And then after I left them, I got my first degrees from Rodrigo, and I am now a second-degree black belt under John Awona.
Okay. Nice. Wow.
Yeah. So
Well, congrats.
so it's actually been Carlson since blue belt. If you want to really go like a lineage wise,
right?
Because Rodrigo, then Rodrigo and Iwano were partners for years and years. But now, Iwano and I have always been really close friends, and when he gave me the opportunity to be part of the Tsunami team, it just made sense.
So,
especially because John is so non-political and not
right,
and that's really what I want to be. I don't want to, I'm not. I don't hold any flags. I don't, I train with anyone that I want. Anyone that wants to go into my gym is more than welcome to come to my gym.
Right.
I don't have any, any weird affiliations or any weird issues with people. It's very, very different.
I think that's a good thing. I think that can be a good thing for people to go and experience things. When people come into a gym, you don't want to feel like a property.
I mean, for my time at House, I met so many amazing people, and yeah. I'm very thankful for House. But he had a really, really strange mentality. Like basically us versus everybody, and
right.
And the other, I mean, one thing that Kurt and House would always say is fuck the other team.
Right.
It's us against everybody, and I guess that mentality is okay to an extent, but my feeling is don't we want to grow and be better people? Don't we want to ensure that our students get the best product that's available? And
right.
I want them to be able to go to other gyms and feel welcome and feel like there isn't this weird, political backing that needs to be abided by, which is just in my mind stupid.
Right. No, I agree, and that's one of the reasons why I train with Sean is because he still has that mentality as well. He's like, go train places, get that experience.
Yeah, I sent my students to Sean's. I have one student who his brother lives in Chino.
Okay.
And every time I'm like, go train Sean's gym. Go in there and I always really like Sean.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he's that's one of the things I've always, Sean's got a good reputation. I appreciate that. He's kind of the same way, like non-political, just it's all about the jiu-jitsu and about the training. It's not about there's no politics, and I love that. I don't want to get in the middle of any of that either. It's exhausting. I just couldn't.
I think it loses the real. Well, I mean, so I can understand that at one point that in martial arts, that was a necessity, but
okay.
Just like we are a global economic, like we have global economics, right? Why would we be so short-sighted to think like, oh, it's just our team versus everybody?
Right.
And just the way knowledge is available now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Why would you limit yourself because you feel like,
No, I agree 100%, because if you're not attacking the entire body, why would you always?
Yeah.
You go to different places and you get different flavors, different body parts, to different training partners. It just gives you that different feel. And I've done a couple of gyms like that, and it's a good thing. It's a learning experience for sure. A little humbling at times. I've gone to a gym where, I was this recently, actually, within the last, it's been about 2 years now, so not too recent, but went to a gym up at Sacramento and went against the purple belt. Man, he just tore me up. I'm like, oh my gosh, man. Dude, calm down. I'm at the time I was, like I said, I was 49, I think, or 48, and I'm like, oh my God, you're like 18. Calm down.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely feel my age, but it's great because it actually kind of lit a fire under me too to learn more, train more, just get to feel different bodies and different people pushing me. We have guys at the gym that are like the same thing, 18 years old, 19 years old, come in, you know, piss and vinegar and just like, rah, and we're like, oh my gosh, calm down.
I built one, unfortunately.
I was just gonna say, dude, being a coach for, you know, having a gym, you've got, that's got to be, it's rough. I mean, so how does your gym go? And I do have to ask.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with the name?
Oh, well, so, you know, my nickname in MMA was Godzilla.
Yes.
So I initially wanted to name my gym Godzilla MMA, and the Toro Group that owns the name, got in the trademark for Godzilla, wanted, I think it was $25,000 the use of the name, and I didn't want to go through litigation.
Okay.
And Godzilla is the king of the kaiju.
Okay.
Kaiju just means big monster in Japanese.
Okay.
And I actually like it way more than Godzilla MMA now. And it was more just because I didn't want to deal with a potential lawsuit, and
Sure.
I didn't want to pay the Toro Group $25,000.
There you go. Hey, no, that works out well. That's a win-win right there.
No, I think it's great, man. I really like the name. I like everything that you know, we can do all these logos, and it falls in the same realm as Godzilla. Cause, I mean,
Sure.
like I said, Godzilla is the king of the kaiju.
Right.
But yeah, that was.
That's hilarious because it's. I thought maybe it had something to do with you know, going from Tsunami over to something. I thought maybe there was a tie-in there as well. I wasn't sure, so I had to ask.
Well, you know, it actually, our logos, like we have one shirt that is Tsunami logo, and the kaiju is ripping through the tsunami.
Okay.
And it worked out perfect just because, you know, that they work well together. So,
yeah,
but
definitely.
That was it was gonna be Godzilla MMA, but I'm not getting some type of man for the use of the name.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. That's crazy. That was like back in the day when I remember. Do you remember when Tap Out didn't have tapout.com? They had inyourface.com.
Yeah,
they were going through that whole thing. Same thing, man. They had to go find out who owned it and all that. And they were he was gonna charge them a crap ton of money to buy it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And they were like, Charles and Dan were like, nope, not gonna do it. We'll make our own way. So no, I think that's a great thing, and I like that. So, do you and John, are you affiliates or? Just...
Kaiju is an affiliate of Tsunami.
Okay, super cool. So,
yeah.
Well, one of these days I got to get down there and talk to John too. That'd be good. I just got to get down there as soon as this whole thing lifts. I was planning on coming out there and just spending a day and chit chatting and doing that. And
dude, if you want to come down, you are more than welcome. Like seriously, my house is about 15 minutes. If you want to come chill, have dinner or have lunch or dinner here,
awesome.
Just relax. You know, you're more than welcome.
Awesome.
Open door invitation if you want to just come train or just relax, hang out. I have, like I said, I've got a very, very open door policy about that. So
I will absolutely 100% take you up on all that because
awesome.
I'd love to do that stuff. So absolutely. And
I'll keep all the young hungry guys.
Yeah, keep them on the other side of the room, please. I have to survive this.
It's funny. I have one kid, Jake. He's 21 now. I started training with him. So I was partnered in another gym for years, and then split off to do kaiju by myself. But my student base followed me.
Nice.
And Jake, I got him when he was 15.
Oh, wow.
And he was just a meek little kid and super, just like a genuinely good kid. I finally got him. I convinced him to start wrestling his junior year, and he went to CIF his junior and senior years of high school.
Nice.
And found this drive, and now he's my purple belt killer now. Seriously, this kid is such a beast. He whenever guest black belts come that have an attitude, because I can't physically go like I once did. I'm like, Jake, get him.
Sick him.
Freaking monster. He's 21 and doesn't do anything but play video games. He goes to Occidental College, eats right, doesn't drink, doesn't drink caffeine.
Wow.
Like he's just like such a stoic, good young man. so funny. Like for his 21st birthday, I'm like, let's go get a beer. He's like, I don't drink cocaine. That's not really my thing.
Wow.
All right, cool. You know, it's great. That's all bad. You don't have an obligation to drink. You know.
Right.
But yeah, he just he loves training jiu-jitsu and going to school and yeah, he's my little killer.
He's your. Sorry, go ahead.
When he was 15, I knew that there was something in him. Yeah. I was just like, once we're able to get through and tap into the philosophy that's inside you, Jake, you're going to be a beast.
Yeah.
And we finally tapped into it. And yeah, he's a freaking monster.
Isn't that? I think in a way I'm jealous of that. You know, to hear that story of, you know, him getting that good and just being, I get jealous of that sometimes because I'm like, man, I wish I had started jiu-jitsu back in the day when I, you know, and just stuck with it, because I did. I started back in the day, but I let it go, and life gets in the way, family things, school, work, all that good stuff. So,
you know, your journey is your journey,
right?
And when you start and what you do with it, I think that that's really irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, I like whether you attain being a world champion or not, or you fight MMA or not. I think all of that's irrelevant. It's more than like the journey of life that we undertake. And if we get an opportunity to have something like jiu-jitsu that hopefully makes us better people,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Then you're maximizing it no matter what.
Yeah, and that's I really believe that for the most part, jiu-jitsu has definitely made my life a lot better. It puts me in contact with people that, you know, when I was writing for On the Mat, I got to sit and talk with some amazing people, and you know, it's great. Submission Fighter Magazine, same thing. I mean, sitting down and talking with Hoist Gracie and, you know, different people in our community, in our world, that were at the time, you know, were the superstars, and meeting just the superstars of our era, you know, that time frame was just amazing to me, you know, and even nowadays, I still get like giddy when I you know, go to meet some you know, star that's, I look at and go, oh my gosh, that's Rafael Lovato Jr. You know, oh my God, I want to go sit and talk with him. You know, I just
right.
Like I it took me a long time to even reach out and talk to you, and not to sound weird or anything, but, you know, just I was on Messenger. I'm like, all right, that doesn't sound right. I don't want to just come out and say, hey, Gabe. So, you know, just super weird. Just because, I don't know, man. I just so I have so much respect for you guys that have done this and brought this level, and you're teaching these kids and these adults too, but I mean, these kids, in my opinion, the right way to do things. And because there are bad seeds that come into the gym that want to come in and hurt people, and they want to come in and we're not going to mention any names because I know that you had direct dealings with that, and you know, back in the day, and it's a tough thing when you see these kids you know, turn the wrong way, and it's great that you guys are there to keep them on the straight. So
I mean, there's always, we have the ability to go so many different ways, and I hope that, you know, those that take jiu-jitsu, hopefully it touches them in different ways.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I hope that and again, it's kind of stupid and cliche, but as I've gotten older, I understand martial arts more.
Sure.
I understand, like, the martial way more. You know what I mean? Because my time at House, there was no martial arts involved. You know what I mean? Like, it was really, genuinely, it was, you know, House loved the, like, we were getting street fights, and House loved hearing our stories, and like, when I think of, like, I don't know, we weren't good people. We weren't bad people. You know what I mean? But the core of us were not really, you know, focusing on the betterment of our community more than just, you know, what was best for ourselves. And I think now, when I I look at my school as what's I'm making better people for my community.
There you go.
Whether it's kids, whether it's I bring this up so much because actually I found so much pride in this. I have this guy, Keith Smucker. Keith had never done anything physical his entire life. He owns a successful accounting firm, and he started doing jiu-jitsu at 48.
48?
And like 48 years old, decided to do jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Like the guy, and look, physically, and he'll admit it, he's not an athlete by any standard. He's just he's a dad and an accountant. And at 50, he's like, he just turned 54. At 50, he goes, I want to do a tournament. And I go, let's do it. He goes, okay, let's do it. And so we got him prepared and everything. He went out there and he freezes. The guy takes him down. The guy takes his back. He finally wakes up right before he gets choked. And I was so happy and proud to be there with that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he goes, I want to do the Masters Worlds. And I go, okay, let's do it. Sweet. So, fast forward 8 months, we do the Masters Worlds. He's stalemate. The whole time doesn't do anything. And the other guy wins. And he goes, I want to do another one. And I go, dude, if you want to do this, I will do this with you 1,000 times. I don't like the fact that you're finding this drive that you didn't even know existed is all I care about. Like the fact that you at 50, then 52 are trying to do tournaments, like that is inspiring to me.
Yeah. So
we go into his third one and he wins his third one, taps the guy. And the look of elation and excitement, and he still to this day is like, that was the best moment of my life. Like that to me is 10 times more inspiring than winning world titles and fighting at Mandalay Bay or being on television. All that means nothing. Like seeing this guy come out of the shell and do something that he is not even prepared for.
Right.
That he's not mentally or physically, his entire livelihood, he's not prepared for it to go out and do that was way more impressive to me.
Dude, that does hit home quite a bit. You definitely see somebody that has gone from, like you said, never aspired to do any of that, never aspired to be world champion, just wants to get in there and compete, and that has to be a proud moment for a coach, and especially after his win, he probably just felt on top of the world. That impresses me. I love that. Those are the stories that I live for. Like right now I'm all excited because I get anxious and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. Those are great things to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I was inspired. That's something like that you never would think that when I was a young, like, hungry jiu-jitsu guy that in my 40s I'd be excited about seeing, guys in their 50s compete for the first time. But for me, that was way more awe-inspiring and just, it gave me a feeling of satisfaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
That and even when he lost, I mean, he froze. The first time he, but I drove to the tournament with him. We talked the whole time. We did all the preparation. He went on the mat and he just froze. Got complete stage fright. And then we drove home together, and he's all upset and bummed out. But I'm like, dude, you went out there and did it. Like, for you to do a tournament at 50, to finally make a decision to I'm going to do this. Like, dude, so there are people that do just their entire lives that
never step on the mat. I was just gonna say that there's probably 75% that probably never step on the mat.
Yep.
I mean, come on, that guy. That's exactly what it is. A lot of the guys, a lot of the white belts and the blue belts, they'll come to me and they'll ask me that question. Hey, so do you think I should compete? And I'm like, look, competing is a different thing. It's a different animal. Being prepared for it is important. It's not the be all end all, but definitely do it if you feel like you want to do it. Absolutely. I say go out and experience it. I didn't do it enough as a white belt or a blue belt, and I think that kind of killed my my drive. And now as a black belt, man, I really want to compete more. But that's not the point. I think that and then they would ask about, oh, well, what if I lose? I'm all, who cares? Who cares? Who gives a shit if you win or lose? The whole point is you go out there, you competed, you did it, you did what most people will never do. Think about that for a minute. You
put it on the line.
Absolutely.
And that, enough is you find something about yourself.
Yep.
Right. And I think that was the biggest thing for fighting.
Sure.
You find out more about yourself. About your determination, about your inner fortitude, like the qualities that you don't really appreciate until you've gone through
that fire, that
fire, exactly.
Yeah, man. I agree. And that's why I think that's one of the things that I was kind of curious about touching on with when you lost and you came back. I mean, your first match you lost. A lot of people, like I said, that fire, man, they would never, they'd be like, nope, I'm out. This isn't for me. I'm gone. But you didn't do that. And that says a lot to me. And I think it says a lot to a lot of other people as well.
Well, I think the one, and again, this is something that a lot of people feel like the Ultimate Fighter was that's what I'm known from, but they don't know that after the Ultimate Fighter, I was essentially blacklisted from MMA. I was kicked out of the UFC. The commission in California stripped me of my license, so I couldn't fight in California for some weird reason.
What?
There's a whole backstory to that. Like, I was supposed to fight. Remember when K1 fought when they had the fight at the Coliseum?
Yeah.
When Hoist fought Sakuraba Part 2, and Brock Lesnar was the headliner.
Yep.
I was supposed to fight on that card, and I was going to make a lot of money to fight on that card. But for some reason, when I was doing my licensing, I already had my license, but they canceled my license and said that I was ill-prepared because of the TV show. I was ill-prepared mentally to fight.
What?
Yeah. And incidentally, the head of the commission at that point, his next job was for Fertitas at one of their casinos.
Oh.
I'm not
interesting.
We can say whatever we want to say, but Armando was Armando's last name, but yeah, he was the head. But so basically, I was blacklisted for fighting in California.
Wow.
And then I had neck surgery. So I had to have my neck fused. So I spent a year recovering after being blackballed from fighting. And I had to spend a year just sitting on my butt thinking about, here I've basically reached the lowest point in my career. Because, I went from being a looked at prospect to, being at that point just blacklisted from MMA. And then I had to have my neck fused.
Wow.
So if there was ever a time that I had to really look at myself and be like, what are you doing? It was that year recovery, and then I came back and I won 6 fights in a row, won the TPS title,
right.
And then got re-signed to the UFC when they said that I would never fight for them again. As far as determination and whatever will I had, I think that there's one takeaway for myself. That was far more of a okay.
Yeah.
I can say that I'm a fighter. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I can't. Not for 1 second do I. Like a moment like that to come back after basically
a low point.
Basically, my career's over.
Right.
Career's over.
Right.
And then having to have my neck fused, so now I'm physically unable to do anything. To battle back, and then
beyond.
I feel like I don't know. That is a far more point of
that's a more defining.
What I'm made of.
That's more of a defining point of who you truly are.
Yeah.
Agreed.
More so than look, that fighting and then losing and then coming back. And I lost the WC title, and then I fought again. And I've never been one to. I lose, I get back up, and I go again.
Sure.
Never been an issue for me. But for myself, when I look at obviously I'm looking at things more internally than anybody else, but that was a time in my life that I had to really wake up and like, what are you fighting for?
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you do? Like, what are you doing with this life of yours?
You had to find your drive. You had to refine what
exactly.
your passion and your fire. Okay. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I was fighting in the first place.
Sure.
Because it wasn't for money. It wasn't for fame.
Right.
It wasn't for any of those things. There was, for my own personal reasons, and I had to kind of be reborn with that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because that's, I think a lot of people, again, would have sat on the couch and said, "Oh, woe is me," and not move forward. There's a lot of people that don't, they get dealt a hand and they just don't know what to do with it. And for you to be able to come out on the other side, it's impressive. And you're doing so well.
That was, it was a really garbage time in my life.
Yeah.
Just really good. Like, yeah.
That's tough, man.
But you know what? It's that is unfortunately how life, not unfortunately, but how life unfolds, and we have our ups and we have our downs, and
yeah,
we hopefully come out the other side. And I will say that all of that has made me stronger. It makes me appreciate things more. It makes me understand what's important. The crazy part is, last night I was my 8-year-old. She was going to bed, and I lay with her before she was to bed. And last night she was like, "Dad, at one point you were famous, huh?" I just started laughing. Like, I was never famous. She's like, "Well, you were on TV and stuff." And I go, "Yeah, I was on TV." And I go, she's like, "But like when we go places, people know you." And I go, "Yeah, that's true. But what is most important to me is this.
Yeah.
This moment right here. What's important to me now is relationships. Like, what is important to me is that hopefully I'm building better people in my community.
Right. That's
what's important. Not, someone coming up to me and talking to me or wanting a picture or getting into a club because I'm known or, I think in my 20s that might have been, that might have felt really good, but at 42, my main focus is family and community. And I think that is because of the ups and downs.
Agreed. I think I agree. So I think that makes you a better coach, because you're going to see these youngsters go through this same bullshit, and you're going to feel what they feel. And like the was it Kenneth, the 52-year-old?
What's that?
The Kenneth, was that his name? The 52-year-old that did his tournament?
Oh, no.
Keith. Sorry.
Keith.
Sorry, Keith. If you hear this, I apologize. I have bad memory. So, no, he, guys like that is what marks people. You know what I mean? That marks you as a good coach. That marks you as him being, just moving forward and having this, those defining moments. And I think that if you hadn't gone through the shit that you went through and the issues that you had, and personally, professionally, mentally, physically, everything, you wouldn't be who you are today, and you would not be able to maybe direct some people that are going to be in the same boat that that you're going to see. So.
Oh no, I agree 100%. I definitely, I'm obviously, you always, like I was saying earlier, you have regrets in a career and
sure.
everything, but everything, it doesn't happen for a reason, but it brings you to the point where you are where you are now.
Sure. The journey.
And I appreciate that I have more, that I appreciate family, and that I appreciate, close relationships more than I care about all the frivolous BS of, being I don't know, famous or chasing the stupidity of pictures, and I don't know.
I agree 100%. It's funny that you bring that up, because I questioned myself as to why I wanted to start up a podcast and do some things that I wanted to do. And I want to do it because I love it. I love talking to people. I love like sitting down and just getting into it. And, you know, we've been talking for an hour and 25 minutes and, you know, yeah, right. And I feel like I can, I feel like I could talk forever, man. And, you know, there are people that I want to reach out to and talk to. I'll be honest, man. If people listen, great. I love that. But my honest feeling is I want to connect with the people that have always inspired me and the people that I want to talk to. And I'm so thankful that you took the time out to talk to me today, even with the kids there and all this chaos going on in your life, man. I truly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So,
I thank you so much. Honestly, I hope when all of this nonsense is over that we can come and get some mat time and just hang out and grab a coffee or or a tea if you don't drink coffee.
I do. I'm a coffee, whiskey, beer, man. Okay. Bring it.
Perfect. We can have coffee in the morning. We can have a beer in the evening.
Excellent. So. I am absolutely 100% in. But all right, man. Well, I know you got a lot to do. I feel like this is I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I've already hour and 25 minutes. So I appreciate the invite. I will absolutely 100% take you up on it, and we'll do a part 2 if that's okay. We'll do some stuff, and we'll do it on video this time. We'll have some fun.
Perfect.
How are people going to get a hold of you? Give out all your information, and then what I'll do is I'll put it in the links in the comments when I load it up on.
Yeah. Well, first, kaiju-mma.com. That's the gym's website.
Okay.
We also have, the Facebook and the Instagram at Kaiju MMA. And we also have the YouTube channel, which is also Kaiju MMA.
Okay.
And that would be the best way to get a hold of me because the gym to me is, my everything. So if anybody wants to contact me, those would be the best ways. And I answer all the emails. I answer all the phone calls. Even if one of my staff answers, I eventually get back to everybody anyways. But yeah, those would be the best ways. Kaiju-MMA.com, which is the website, and then Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, Kaiju MMA.
All right, sounds good. I'll put the links up as well on the comments, and I'll work on this today. It should be up hopefully tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, and I'll shoot you a link,
awesome.
And then
send me a link, and I'll post it everywhere.
Awesome. All right, that's awesome.
All
right, man. Thank you, Gabe.
Man.
Yes, I'm glad we were able to catch up. We will do it again.
All right,
brother.
I hope so.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.